Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and with me as always, the Stream King, the Far Cry guy, the King of Thieves, the Iron Man, Steven. What's up, buddy?
I don't know if I'm the Iron Man. I feel like he's pretty popular, so maybe just a Iron Man.
Okay.
An Iron Man.
Steven is an Iron Man. So, of course, we've been playing that Marvel's Avengers beta, but we're going to talk about more about that and lots of other stuff because it's been a packed week. But this is Chortle Cast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. Lots to talk about today. Lots of news has happened. We've kind of narrowed it down to the stuff we really want to talk about, just because there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to talk all about number one, we're going to be talking about the Marvel's Avengers beta. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show, sort of kind of in the middle range once we get into catch up. But first, we'll talk about Remedy Entertainment working on a new game set in the Control and Alan Wake universe. We're going to talk about Rocksteady new Suicide Squad game. We're going to talk about that PlayStation State of Play, and then we're going to talk about Spider-Man coming to Marvel's Avengers exclusively on PlayStation. We're going to talk all about that. It's going to be a great time. Let's just dive into it, Steven. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get through. Let's start at the top because I know, Steven, you're excited about this. Remedy Entertainment is working on a new game set in the Control and Alan Wake universe. Now, this is something that you've and you're not alone, but everyone has kind of been noticing how this is all connected. And I think you, Steven, have said several times on the podcast that, hey, this could be a really cool foundation for like a universe, kind of an MCU, if you will.
There was no way the way they did Control from a story standpoint and just from the design of the world, there was no way that it was going to stop there. It was definitely like setting something up that was going to be big. And so this is confirmation for something that we all pretty much knew. But it's nice to hear confirmed.
So I'm trying to get,
and that they're working on it.
So it's really just a short quote, but it does mean a lot knowing that this is happening. I'm pulling an article from IGN, but basically Remedy Entertainment has confirmed it is working on a future game that takes place in the same universe as Control and Alan Wake. They announced the news alongside the newest trailer for Control's latest expansion, the AWE expansion, which Steven theorizes is Alan Wake Escapes. This features a crossover of these two properties, being Alan Wake and Control, in the form of the Federal Bureau of Control investigating what took place in 2010 with Alan Wake. It is the first official Remedy-connected universe crossover event, but it will not be the last and is only a humble beginning. Remedy gave no further details on if the game will be a Control or Alan Wake game or something else entirely, and only said that they will be connected in some form. So what would you like to see out of that, Steven? Would you rather it be under the name, like would you rather it be Control 2 and just kind of continue? I'm sure you don't want to play as Jesse Faden, but what...
Look, Jesse Faden is the director of the FBC. Keep her in the office, give her a desk job, keep her as far away from me as possible. I never want to interact with that block of wood ever again. That is how I feel about Jesse Faden. She's so boring and she's so inconsistent with how she's written. She's just not a good character. And it breaks my heart because I love Control. If Control had given me a character that was even half as interesting, personality wise, not backstory wise, because Jesse's backstory is compelling, but her personality and her narrative voice is so stale. Like if they'd given me something that was half as interesting as Alan or Max Payne, both properties that they've done. If we had a drinking game on Chortlecast, by the way, I'm pretty sure one of those things would be take a shot every time Steven mentions the Remedy narrative voices and how Max Payne and Alan Wake are both Remedy
I need
properties.
someone to send me that. What is our drinking game for Chortlecast?
Someone make a drinking game. But I'd want to see something. I want us to take there's a game called The Bureau, XCOM Declassified. This is really, I literally just thought of the connection now. So take a shot when Steven goes off the rails and uses an off the cuff explanation for something that really could have been said much easier. But The Bureau was an origin story that was not actually canon, but it was like a what if origin story of XCOM. And you played as an agent within the Bureau who was investigating towns that are experience alien invasion. It was a great game that was very misunderstood. So its better aspects were overlooked. But the point in saying that is that I would love, like this, for me, the ideal game that they can come out with for the Alan Wake Control universe, whatever you want to call it, is where we take the role of an agent from the FBC and we investigate various paranormal cases from different places. So we experience multiple altered world events. We deal with multiple objects of power, stuff like that. Just tell all these stories through a mixture of the awesome third-person story-driven combat that we get from Remedy, but also with a good bit of mystery and intrigue and investigation and stuff like that. And you know what? Make it co-op. You won't. I know you won't, but make it, at least make it to where like it's not just us. We're not alone.
Right.
Make it to where like we've got a partner or something. I just think that would be really cool if it was like a buddy cop kind of thing, but not like a beat cop, but like two detectives investigating these paranormal things. That just sounds like
that's
such
a great
cool concept.
A buddy cop,
because
investigating altered world events. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Like that it sounds so easy, doesn't it? And like they've done Max Payne. Take a shot. So they know how to like, it would literally just be blending Remedy's roots with where they are now, like basically taking everything they've ever done and
a Moscow Mule, if you will,
just creating this
of Remedy's properties.
Sure, take a shot every time Jake says a term that Steven doesn't understand.
I'm just thinking because Moscow Mule, I'm pretty sure it involves ginger beer, and ginger is a root. If I'm correct in my botany, I don't even think that's the right term there either. Anyway, I like what you're pitching here, Steven. I think that could be fun. My only thing is, I've played bits and pieces of Alan Wake. Obviously, I watched a lot of your forward compatible on Alan Wake. Alan Wake compared to what was the other game that they did with time? Quantum Break. So the only thing I loved the story and the mystery of Alan Wake, but I loved the powers that we got in Control. And then I never played Quantum Break, but even hearing about how that all that worked was really fun. So my only addition to your pitch is I'd rather be more in the Control side of abilities than the Alan Wake side of just.
Oh, absolutely. Because basically what I'm saying is you take the gameplay of Control where it presented such an interesting atmosphere and world that you just wanted to learn with pretty solid gameplay minus the technical issues, but the gameplay foundation was super solid. And you throw that in to the blender with Alan Wake's character and story intrigue. Because Control, and I feel like I'm the only person on the planet that feels this way, but Control's narrative, like its actual story, was probably its weakest link. Not just Jesse, but just the story overall, because it seemed to me like Remedy was more invested in creating the FBC itself. And like I love the FBC. Like Control's, like the Bureau is one of my favorite game worlds just because of how bizarre and interesting.
I did a side story.
Like,
I've been playing Control lately, and I just did a side mission where I took on an altered. What are the an altered object?
The object.
Yeah, an object of power. I just took on an object of power that's just duplicating clocks, and it's you literally when you fight it, it just vomits clocks at you. And so like that area is covered, like you're literally like swimming almost through clocks. And it's just really funny. Anyway, just talking about there's so much in that game that you sometimes don't even find. So
yeah, you take the gameplay and design of Control. You give us the connection with the character,
and mystery of
maybe the narrative
Alan
voice, the mystery of Alan Wake, yes. And you set it to a character like Max Payne. I don't know, like I definitely agree that Control had the strongest gameplay foundation out of all of them. But Control was also more interested in taking more of your time than the others have been. But that's just because that's how games are made these days. But Control isn't like a game that expects you to grind or anything, but there are some light RPG mechanics, there's loot, stuff like that, but it's very, very minor, but it's there. So that's kind of the disconnect, is that I think Remedy is evolving with how the industry as a whole is evolving. But I don't know how they do it, because Alan Wake and Control are the two best examples of, like, because I mean, these are the two games that we know are connected. Quantum Break very well might be connected. It was technically connected to Alan Wake, American Nightmare, sort of, but those saying like you take control of a paranormal investigator or like an agent of the FBC, that's hard, because suddenly you have the question, or at least my first question is it like one altered world event that you're investigating per game, or is it you're investigating multiple altered world events? Because Control and Alan Wake are two of those games that basically take place in a bottle. Like, they don't leave their area very much. They're very isolated kind of concepts. And so it's hard to guess and wonder how you do a game like those that doesn't just go into a deep dive of one specific scenario,
it could be interesting too if it took more of a lean towards Alan Wake, where you are the person who's in the middle of the altered world event, and you're somehow connected to that object of power. And then maybe the FBC, is that what it is? FBC, Federal Bureau of Control.
FBC, Federal Bureau of Control.
If the FBC comes in and that's the connecting thread, and like maybe Alan Wake is an agent at this point, depending on how things go in this.
Alan Wake was up for director.
I know. What if he comes in as like assistant director? I don't know. Who knows what's next?
What if Jesse in the Alan Wake expansion, what if Jesse
takes his place in the darkness,
sacrifices herself? She takes his place in the darkness. She looks at him and she's just like, I belong here more than you do. This place is somehow more colorful than I am. So I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna drain the darkness because I'm such a void.
Damn.
And so she defeats the darkness by just talking to herself, and the darkness is like,
please take her back.
No, please take her back. I will die. And Alan is like, bye. And Jesse's just there, and she's just talking to the void. She's just looking into space, but her inner thoughts are saying, wow, that's a really black void. And then she says, it's dark in here.
Oh, wow, Steven, I hate you. Speaking of dark voids and draining the darkness, let's talk about Rocksteady's new game that they announced. Rocksteady, who is famously known for the the Batman Arkham Asylum trilogy, has been the Arkham trilogy. Thank you. I wanted to say Arkham Knight, but then I was like, nope, that's the third one. I don't know what the.
Yeah, they're all Arkham. That's the word that connects them, because it is kind of confusing, because you want to say Asylum when you say Arkham, but
it all breaks down. Yeah. Anyway, famously known for the Batman Arkham series, they have been obviously secretly working on something for the last little bit. Rumors had been swirling around, and there has been some leaked evidence that they were working.
There have been so many rumors as to what they've been working on. Like every week, I feel like I get a different one.
There was
like, oh, this is Rocksteady's
There was a
secret game.
Superman game at one point, which now makes a little bit of sense, which we'll get to in a second. There has been, I don't know how big Rocksteady is, but it seems like they're working on 2 games. No, that's wrong. I'm mixing up. Rocksteady is working on a Suicide Squad game, which is what we now know. That has been confirmed. They tweeted that out. There's another WB developer who did the Origins spinoff.
Correct.
They are working on another Batman
Harry
title.
Potter? Maybe. Which one's doing Harry Potter?
I don't know who's doing, because the rumor for a long time was that Rocksteady is doing Harry Potter, and maybe they are. Again, I don't know how big they are.
But Harry Potter, as far as I know, is definitely happening.
Who knows?
But who's making it?
I have no idea. It's not. It's. I don't think it's going to be part of DC fandom, so we may never know. But anyway, all that to say, this week, Rocksteady came out in a tweet and announced that they are working on a Suicide Squad game. They announced it in a tweet. There's a poster that they put on there as well. And basically, it's Superman. Looks very much like Henry Cavill's Superman. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's very. When I saw it, I thought it was a teaser for the next Suicide Squad movie. That's how much it looks like Henry Cavill. Anyway, it's Superman, and he's kind of looking over his shoulder back towards our point of view as a poster viewer. But there's a Suicide Squad Crosshairs logo that's on his head, and it basically just says we'll get more details at DC Fandom, which is their kind of Comic-Con replacement 24-hour live stream event on August 22nd. So we'll get our first details there. But anyway, the whole idea, some of the leaks that I had been talking about, there were some rumors that had come out because there were some domain names that had been bought by WB, and one of them was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So the idea from this trailer, or a poster rather, is that we would play as the Suicide Squad, but we would be taking down the Justice League. So a lot of DC fans have kind of thrown in that, there's, I'm blanking on names. There's Starro, I think it's a big star monster that like can do mind control. I'm blanking on the other one. There's like an Ellipso or Eclipso or Exo or something. I'm not the biggest DC fanboy anymore, but anyway, another mind-controlling villain has basically taken over the Justice League, and we have to, as the Suicide Squad, go stop them, kill them, what have you, all that good stuff. So, obviously, I'm very excited about anything Rocksteady is doing because they earned my trust with the Arkham series, but I just don't like Suicide Squad. What are your thoughts, Steven?
Well, that's a bit of a blanket statement, and the reason being, like, saying that you don't like Suicide Squad, I understand, like, because I'm not a huge fan of them either, but I think they're one of those teams that it's very easy to turn someone's opinion around, because I can think of certain characters that are often in the Suicide Squad.
It's definitely going to have Harley Quinn. It's probably going to have Deadpool.
It's definitely going to have Deadshot.
Deadshot. Sorry, Deadshot. See, there's too many people that have dead and then blank in front of their name. You know what I mean? Let's get a little bit more creative, people. When you're coming up with villains or heroes, let's not put dead and then something else, okay? Deadshot. Now I'm thinking of Trick Shot, Steven. Man. What's the shark? Is it King Shark? Is that right?
King Shark, I think, but he's not.
He's sometimes in there.
I don't think of him one.
I don't.
Yeah, Killer Croc's in there.
Killer
a good
Croc,
bit, but
so like you can start to
Captain Boomerang, like that. There's a bunch of characters, but there's a lot of opportunity for them to provide some characters that we may not have expected under the concept of not necessarily this is the Harley Quinn game. I hope to God it's not the Harley Quinn game, but rather this is the you're playing as the villain's
Right.
game.
Well,
And that could be
Well,
good.
and see, I don't think it necessarily even has to be limited to you're playing the villains, because I do think it's interesting if it is gonna be this theme of kill the Justice League. What if, there's like what the Super Seven is the Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter,
I thought that was just called the Justice League.
huh?
I thought that was just called the Justice
Well,
League.
but the Justice League encompasses like hundreds of heroes,
Everyone?
but there's like the big seven, those that I
Yeah.
just listed. So let's say maybe those.
You're thinking the boys.
I'm thinking the boys right
The
now. That's
seven.
what I am. But DC has.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Justice League. There's the big guys.
They've got it. I just don't know what it's called.
Anyway, what if it's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, whatever? Those are the ones that have been taken over. But like, what if Green Arrow is not taken over? So maybe he's part of your team, and you can play as Green Arrow, or I don't know, some more offbeat B, C tier heroes may join up with the Suicide Squad. And I think that could be interesting. But I don't know. The other thing that's kind of up in the air right now is really just what is this game gonna be? Because I don't think from what I've been reading that it's gonna be a story game like the Batman Arkham series. I'm pretty sure the rumor is it's going to be more of a games of service type game, not unlike Marvel's Avengers that we've been looking at.
I bet that's exactly what it's going to be.
It's funny how DC
'Cause,
has kind of been chasing Marvel, but using Suicide Squad to try and catch up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, doesn't that make no
I'm
sense?
very confused, but
Because if you were to say, like, if they were to make a Justice League game, then you could be like, oh yeah, everyone's in the Justice League at one point. But to come out, like, and this is all hypothetical. If this is their response to Marvel's Avengers, to come out and just be like Suicide Squad, that's when you're just like, okay, so I'm never playing Superman in this thing.
Oh yeah,
Got
no,
it.
I absolutely. I don't think there's any way. I feel like Superman's going to be the big bad at the end. I mean, obviously, like probably Starro or some other villain is controlling them, but Superman is going to be the final fight, and then you might kick the guy who's controlling Superman. You know what I mean? Like, I highly doubt there's going to be a huge fight at the end against. I don't know. Maybe whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, a traditional, just using as an example, a game that's in the style of Avengers, in my opinion, would not work here. It just doesn't. There's just too much contrast. Like, if the whole point is, because with Suicide Squad, they're not that powerful individually. They're expendable. They are literally pawns. That's kind of the whole point of their team. And they're scrappy. They get by not fighting like heroes. That's their thing. And so, if they were to take this looter slasher, whatever you want to call it, and try to make it about the Suicide Squad, that just doesn't make sense to me. That, like, and I'm not saying that it's not likely it's likely that's not what they're doing. It's very likely that it is what they're doing, but I just don't see it personally. Like, I could totally see a game where you like less of the looter side and more of the like a hero shooter or something, where it's like mission based, but it would have to have more nuance, because unless if they are literally just trying to throw that in there and be like, hey, we've got a lot of good villains, let's make a game where you play as a bunch of villains and that's it. Like, unless if they're doing that, they're going to have to add some nuance to this game that makes it to where, like, what's interesting about Deadshot going up against Superman? Like, take advantage of that. That's what they need to do.
Well, if anyone's going to do it justice, I think, see what I did there? It's going to be Rocksteady.
I have faith in them. It's just really strange.
Well,
because you've got me thinking now, like, all I figured going into this was you're probably going to be playing almost certainly going to be playing as a roster, and I could see co-op being part of it. But now that you've like got in my head that maybe they could be doing Avengers, that's got me thinking.
And who knows? That's just going off of speculation and all of this. We have no details other than what has been provided in this poster and what we can garner from this. I expect at the DC Fandom they will probably show a 1 to 2 minute trailer that's probably just going to be a cutscene that sets up this idea of the Suicide Squad has been hired to stop the Justice League because the Justice League has been compromised. And like that'll be the setup, and we might see gameplay. I really, really doubt it. But we'll have to see what they do. Hopefully they'll at least give us a press release to kind of explain what they're going to be going for. Along the lines of, is it going to be something like Avengers? Is it going to be something more like the traditional Arkham series? We'll just have to see. But anyway, moving on to things that we'll have to see later. Let's talk about the PlayStation State of Play that happened this week. Thursday, Sony did the most please do not get hype Sony State of Play. They, at the front end, were like, there will be no hardware details. There will be no release date conversations. This is just going to be an update on some PS4 games, some PSVR games, and then a couple of the PSVI is what I just said.
PSVI.
PS5.
PS6, they already announced the PS6.
Announced it. Some more PS5 games. So I'm just going to, like we normally do when we have one of these showcase things, I'm just going to go down the list of what they showed. If we want to stop and talk about something, we can. So they opened the show with a decent segment on Crash Bandicoot 4, the new Crash game. Looks good.
It's about time.
It's about time. They like to say that a lot in there. Pretty cool. It looks great. I'm just not, I unfortunately never was a Crash fan. So
yeah, zero desire, but I'm happy for the people.
So happy for
Crash.
that group.
Yeah.
This next one was a surprise for me. The Hitman trilogy will now be playable in PSVR. So they showed a short trailer of Hitman walking into a room, looks normal, and then suddenly it zooms in on his barcode, and then you're in his head, and you're looking around, and you're in VR. And I cannot wait to see what this is actually going to look like and play like. Because in the demo, it shows him walking around like normal, but you're in VR. And so I don't know how is the changing, like disguises going to work. Like I'm so curious to see how that's going to play.
You actually have to change your clothes on camera to get in disguise. The camera knows it's watching.
You're not changing.
If you haven't changed clothes,
take your pants off. It's still detecting pants. It comes with a belt that has the lights on it, so that
a VR
belt for the camera. Anyway, so I'm excited to see what that is. I don't know how that's going to work, but especially because it says the whole trilogy. So this is going to be backwards as well. So very cool. Curious how that's going to go. That of course is
so. My I was multitasking during the State of Play, and so the only thing I remember about the Hitman VR announcement was, and this may not have even happened, I just may have thought I saw this, but I just remember seeing Agent 47 reach over a guy's head, just start to choke him out with the wire, and I just thought, oh, Hitman VR. Like I didn't even see them say that it was Hitman VR, but I was just like, okay, yeah, that's how you announce Hitman VR. VR choking out. That's
See,
cool.
I can't wait to find out how that's all going to work, but whatever. The next one was a weird one. I have no idea what this is. Braid Anniversary Edition was announced. So,
you don't know what Braid is?
I literally have no idea. Apparently, it's an acclaimed 2008 puzzle platformer that was released on PS4. It will be released on PS4 and PS5 in early 2021.
It was one of the platformers that really brought platforming back. I feel like because it was an indie darling on PC. Things like it and Super Meat Boy. I feel like it was one of those games that people played and they were like, oh wow, this is like the games I used to play when I was a kid, and then suddenly platformers are huge, in like everywhere. I could be remembering that wrong, but I never played Braid personally, but I saw it everywhere when I first started using Steam.
It looked really interesting. It kind of reminded me of Cuphead in the sense that it's all hand painted scenes and stuff and animations. So that looked interesting. But anyway, that's coming to PS4 and PS5. They announced, or I guess they announced the release date for Spelunky 2. That's going to be on PS4 on September 15th. So you don't have to wait very long for that one. Vader Immortal PSVR release date. That's coming out August 25th.
Yes.
Very excited for that one.
So that's a game that's been on Quest.
It's been on Oculus.
On Oculus. I played it on Quest, and it's really cool. I definitely recommend playing it because I only played, I think, the first episode, but it's like they brought back pre-Disney Star Wars for the story, because it actually expounds on Vader and the humanity that's still in there, and it's super interesting. So definitely play that if you've got PSVR. Strong recommend.
Yeah, you didn't even have to tell me the story was good. You just had to show me a lightsaber.
Yeah, the story, what I saw, the story was great. So look forward.
I come for the saber, and the story is just the icing on the cake.
You stay for the saber.
Stay for the saber.
But the story's
there's some good words going in my ear that I like. Okay, there we go. Then they announced the Control AWE expansion date. That's coming on August 27th. So gonna have something fun. I've been playing Control a little bit this weekend just to kind of get ready for some of that.
I'm so torn. Jake.
You have to. You have to, Steven. You've got to play the Alan Wake.
It's so hard, Jake. I can't do it. I hate her so much. The navigation's so rough.
I was about to say, I will give you, the navigation is horrible, because I jumped in, and it's worse when you've been away from it for give or take a year. And then getting back in, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to get here. How the heck do I get here? I'm doing cleanup right now, right? Like, I've beaten the game. I'm down to what story missions did I miss? What little details did I miss? Whatever. Combat is great. Oh, the combat is so fun. As long as you don't get as long as it doesn't frame rate crap out on you, which it does often. I forgot how often it did that. But there was one thing I was trying to navigate to. I literally finally just said, I think it was the Japanese paper lantern object of power. I was like, how do you get to this? And it was like, oh yeah, you can do that, but first you have to do this mission, which opens up that area. And I was like, cool. So I literally watched a video of how to get to the first step, and then just kind of went from there, and it ended up being fine. But it's just like, there are so many specific hidden ways you have to get to things, and it's just, it's.
You know what I'm probably going to end up having to do? Play this on PC.
Well, there you go. It might run better. I don't know. I haven't heard of it.
That's my thing. Like, if it runs better, then I'll likely be able to do it. But also, I think I said this before, most of my single player time is on PC. Because when I'm on console, I've just got such a hard time getting into a story because I've got the dogs freaking out.
But then you've got to play through the whole Jesse Faden story again, Steven.
Do you want me to play this game or not, Jake?
I want you to play this game, Steven. Tim is coming to PS5.
Yeah, this is so surprising to me. That like, not that it's coming to PS5, but the fact that this is literally the first I've heard you comment on this fact. You did not say a word in the text conversation. You haven't said a word since, and I've just been there sitting there like, I'm just waiting for Jake's reaction to Temtem, and it didn't show up.
About Temtem,
and I'm just like,
and this is the problem. This is a problem I have with a lot of games. I find these little teeny tiny games, I find them in their infancy. You know what I mean? They were just conceived. And I'm like, ooh, that's a game I want to play. I can't wait to see more. And I watch it. I watch it grow. You know, I watch that embryo. Like, I see it get its legs and its tail, you know, but then the tail kind of goes back in because it doesn't have a tail in the end. You know, like, I see all the little details.
You're expounding too much.
And then that little baby is birthed. But you know what? That little baby gets birthed to Steam or to a PC only thing. And then it's like, oh, cool. I've watched this thing. I just gave birth to this thing, it feels like. And now I don't get to play. I don't get to experience the joys of infancy. So I have to wait till it's some grumpy teenager. And then it comes onto the PS4 and it's like, I don't really want to mess with this anymore. I feel the same way about Oblets now. Okay, Oblets was a game I've been super hyped about, but they just went, oh no, Xbox gave us $100 million to be Xbox exclusive, so Jake can never play our game, even though we announced it to him on a Nintendo Direct, and so now it'll probably never come to Switch. Anyway, I digress. I'm still bent up about that.
Jake, I'm gonna tell you how it actually is. Since you don't play PC, so you haven't been around these games when they're on PC only. You're onto something. But it actually goes, infancy is when the game is coming. And then when it releases on Steam, early access, like most of these games do, that's when it's the teenager Jake. And that's when you're just like, I want to love you, but you're making it really hard.
Okay, I understand that. That makes sense. And then when it comes
to when it releases on console, that's when it's an adult that's learned that it sucked at one point and it apologizes for all of its crap, and it's like, Dad, I'm sorry.
That's what I was gonna say.
I've learned. Yeah, so it's actually a good thing that Temtem is coming to PS4 because
PS5,
like you don't have to. PS5, sorry, because now you don't have to deal with its teenage years. It's gotten over the threshold. Now it's
going to come to me as an adult who the joy and energy of life has already just been drained from it, and it's just coming to me dead, and just it's here. You're missing the analogy, Jake. Anyway, yeah. You're not getting all that to say, all that analogies to say, yeah, Tim, it's whatever. I will probably try it. I'm excited to see it come on PlayStation, because it's only been on Steam, right? Yeah, because it's not on Nintendo on Switch, which is why I haven't touched it. So I'm curious to see what it is, how it goes. But I have an actual Pokemon game on my Switch that I still haven't beaten. So, or I beat the main stuff. I haven't beaten all the expansions, but then we got Assassin's Creed Robin Hood. Hood, Outlaws, and Legends, which was announced for PS5. Looks like a great Assassin's Creed game. It looks like a great Assassin's Creed game set in London, But I think I heard that it is not... That it's PvP. Yeah, it's not. It's PvP. It's a third-person 4v4 multiplayer heist game made by developer Sumo Newcastle. So anyway, they so close. To what? So close to something good. Yeah, they were so close to making something. Well, now, Steven, you say that, but haven't we talked on this podcast about how you wished Assassin's Creed would bring back their PvP that they did for, was it Brotherhood that did that? Yeah, and I've never actually said that I wish they brought it back. I just have said that I liked the concept, and I would like to see something done with it. Steven, I don't know that this isn't the spiritual successor of that. Well, here's the problem, Jake. I still don't have Assassin's Creed back. So this is basically saying like, hey, that okay thing about Assassin's Creed? Well, we're going to make that instead of an actual Assassin's Creed game. Instead, here's The Witcher Vikings, but it's not The Witcher. But we really want you to think that it's The Witcher. What? Steven, that's basically what Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Odyssey and Valhalla are. They are trying to be The Witcher. They're so desperate to make you think that this game is as good as The Witcher. It's not. Look, I've never even played The Witcher. It's Sumo Newcastle is just trying to help you out here, Steven. They're trying to give you some of that magic back. Stop making me go up against other players, because that just makes me angry. All right, whatever. Speaking of things that make Steven angry, let's talk about Bugsnax. They showed a new trailer for Bugsnax. Skip. No, we're not skipping Bugsnax. I am so excited for Bugsnax. They showed a little bit more. They showed parts of the original trailer, and then they kind of took us out of that experience, and we're in this office. And the whole game is you are this investigative journalist who's going to the island of Bugsnax to investigate a missing person. And so anyway, this scene, it starts with you talking to your editor or whatever, and she's just like, you're not chasing this. This is the stupidest thing ever, which is what Steven would say about this. But anyway, we got to see some gameplay. So you're like actually catching the bug snacks, and there's all sorts of different tricks. Like one of the bugs chases ketchup. Wherever you put ketchup, it's going to go. So I don't know, showed a little bit more, but it did kind of hint again that there's something dark happening on this island. So Steven and I and Brody, we've all kind of been joking that this game is going to turn into a horror game. And I really, really hope that it does. And I hope that they'll leave it I hope it'll be kept enough of a secret so that when it really does flip on its head and it becomes something terrifying, that it gets people.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is secretly the next Silent Hill game somehow.
Somehow.
You know how Resident Evil, you never know you're in Resident Evil till you're like, oh, they got me. It's a Resident Evil game. I want that to be this.
That would be nice.
Or just them for it to actually be like a horror game, but don't do like a twist to reveal that the game is like don't do a shift of different graphics or anything. I want them to do
exactly what they've been doing. It's just horror.
Exactly what they've been doing, but make it out to be that it thinks it's the scariest game you've ever played.
All right.
That'd be great. Like I want to see things like one of these bug snacks, like this little pepperoni bug comes up to you and it just goes like, help me. You don't know what they do to us here. Like,
I bet you that's going to happen.
I was once a man. Now I am a bug and a snack.
I'm now a bug and a snack. I'm nothing. I'm not the man I once was. All right.
I once was a man snack. Now I'm a bug snack.
I love it. All right. We got some more Godfall gameplay. They did kind of a gameplay overview. This game should just be grabbing me, and it should be just the talons should be setting in because I'm all about melee combat and stuff. I'm just not interested. I don't know if I'm just fatigued from these types of games because we've gotten into playing a lot of these types of games of service games. But I don't know. I'm just not into it. What were your thoughts, Steven? I know, what was the weapon that you were like, if they make this good, I'm sold. I'm in.
If they make the polearm cool and fun, then I'm sold. Cause I do. I
love a good polearm.
I enjoy the visual. I love a good spear kind of combat. Like, cause, it's hard to explain, but like, I don't really enjoy dedicated melee combat systems. Like games that only offer the like up close combat. Sometimes it's all right. Like, I guess like in a game like Ghost of Tsushima, for example, melee combat is the focus, but you can still do range. But even if melee combat was the only focus, I would have been okay with it then because it was interesting. It wasn't just a combo game. And likewise, Avengers is a combo game technically, but there is nuance to the characters. I play Iron Man as a ranged character, and there's character building. So that's what's so interesting to me. But with this game, it's just like, here's one of these generic weapon categories, yet we're going to talk like you're this awesome god slayer or whatever who has powers of all these elements, but they're showing us how to use a sword. That's lame to me. Like, I think it's probably going to be pretty good. But to me, it's like, it just looks like Monster Hunter if it were trying to be Destiny.
It looks like Warframe to me, is what it reminds me a lot of.
It's way too slow to be Warframe. Shoot. Like I could see it, but it's like Warframe if you're playing it at 0.25 times speed. Like, because in Warframe, man,
you flying.
Can book it in Warframe. You flying.
I remember,
but I
forget what's how I was watching it, but I feel like maybe Brody said this. Somebody made the comment of, this looks like Warframe before they updated it to be faster or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, all right. So,
I mean, I played Warframe on Alpha, and this still looks slower than Alpha Warframe.
Yeah, it was slow.
And I'm being harsh on it. It doesn't look bad.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look bad. I'm just not hooked, and the problem is I'm the person that it should be hooking, and if it's not hooking me, who's it hooking? So we'll see. It took Brody, I think. Brody seems pretty interested in it. But
Brody's all in.
speaking of some things that should be hooking me and definitely are, Pathless. We also got an extensive gameplay overview of Pathless, which was a cool game that was shown at the Game Awards maybe last year. I think at the time it was a PS4 game. Maybe they didn't put anything on it. But anyway, it's this Oriental kind of styled game where you're this huntress. You got a bow. You're running around. You got an eagle. You can fly with the eagle. You're just checking off boxes here. You know what I mean? Those are just boxes that you can just check off for Jake. And so they showed an extensive gameplay overview. It was very strange. The gameplay is mostly about movement. And so while you're running in this field, you can shoot these random targets that are just floating around in the world. And you shoot without aiming. You basically just press the shoot button and the arrow will go towards whatever you're closest to. And basically you hit those targets, you can move faster. You can jump and use your eagle to glide and fly even across parts of the map. But basically you keep hitting those targets to move faster and faster. They showed some puzzle elements. They showed a boss fight. Anyway, they're checking all the right boxes for me, but Steven, I forget how you worded it, but I think
it looks cool but boring as hell.
Yeah. See, I feel like a mixture of that somewhere in the middle of it looks like it could be fun, but it also looks kind of boring. I don't know what's gonna happen. And for context, for context, it is an Apple Arcade game as well. So when Apple Arcade got announced and was being touted as like, here's all the stuff that's coming, like Pathless was in their original trailer. So I kind of wonder how much of this was designed to like, okay, guys, we got to remember this is not only going to be being played on PS5, but it's going to be being played on the iPhone 12 or whatever.
It was definitely designed to be played on a phone. I can tell you right now.
Yes, absolutely. The not aiming part.
The fact that the not aiming is the dead giveaway. And that's my thing is like the art style is cool. The concept is cool. But when you start saying things like seeing how it just looks like a Sonic the Hedgehog game, honestly.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And that probably sounds harsh, but you see what I'm saying. And you get a bow, but you can't aim it. It's all about hitting. It's a QTE, basically.
Yeah.
So the gameplay is quick time events. And that's just boring to me. It looks like really boring. It just happens to have a pretty art style, but there are a lot of games out there with pretty art styles that are also fun to play. So it needs a reason to exist.
Yeah. Speaking of reasons to exist, Aeon Must Die. They showed that trailer. Pretty interesting story trailer. I was telling Steven, I was like, I like the style. It's kind of got this neon bug person game, whatever. I was like, it looks interesting, but it was just a cutscene trailer. Like I need to see more of what it's going to actually be like. And after the state of play, like everything dropped that this game was stolen from another developer. All the developers quit because they weren't getting paid and they were being given crunch. This trailer was made by outsourced artists who also did not have a contract, so they may not be getting paid. Like there is so much drama behind this one game that like looks okay. Like it is a huge drama story. So if you're excited about that, I would just go ahead and just lump that in your "it may never happen" category.
Well, its current release date on Steam is December 31st of 2021.
We'll see how that goes.
They don't know.
They don't know. They didn't get the memo. Then there was ANNO Mutationem trailer. I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing this one. It's got a dragon though, and I don't know how I missed that. So I might have to go back and rewatch that one. Then they showed Genshin Impact, which is the anime Breath of the Wild game that I've seen bits and pieces and clips of for a while. It's a 4-player online game, Steven, that, like I said, it's basically anime Breath of the Wild. The gameplay looks it's like they took Breath of the Wild as a base. You can use different weapon types. One of the things that it adds is you can control, I think, one of 7 elements, like natural elements like fire, water, ice, whatever. So there's like magic along with your weapons and bows and stuff. But you play as these kind of anime looking characters. It's an open world. You can explore around. One thing that they have that Breath of the Wild doesn't really have a lot of is it seems like they've got a lot of towns and like urban environments.
Well, if they're an MMO, they have to.
So looks very cool. I'm excited about it. I know Brody's excited about it. Yeah. Steven, you should be excited about it because it has co-op. So, and I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong, but I feel like at one point this game was announced to be free to play. And I don't know where I'm getting that, and I might be getting it mixed up with something else. So if you know and you're watching live in the chat, let me know. But
if it is, that's probably not a good thing.
It's probably not, Steven, you're right. But then you have no excuse to not play it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
All right.
I have my morals. I have my
your morals?
My backbone. I have my pride. I've got those reasons to not sell my soul to a free-to-play game.
Okay. Calm down, Steven.
Yeah.
Next trailer. I'm not sure if this is coming to PS5 or if it's just a PS4 announcement, but The Pedestrian. It's I'm going to call it side-scrolling, even though it's not technically side-scrolling, puzzle game where you play as the basic man in any bathroom stall sign, and you're running around different pedestrian signs in a world, and you're exploring and solving puzzles and stuff. It's very weird, very strange, but it's a puzzle-solving game. And then Auto Chess had this really, really cool CG trailer, but then it's chess. So, and that was it. That's it. That's from the State of Play.
I can't wait to play as Basic Man.
Basic Man, the Pedestrian. It might be up your alley, Steven. I don't know. You need to go check that out. Overall thoughts, I thought the State of Play was good. I still think it's weird that we're in this place where we still don't know the release date and so many other details about the system. I want another event that just talks about the system. Like, I want to know what the menu looks like. I want to know, we've heard all these rumors about how the new share button is going to have all these features and stuff. Like, I want an overview of what the system can do. And while I still think they should say a price and release date on that, I'd be okay if they didn't, just so I can freaking get some more details. Like, because at this point, release date and price, I don't even care because I'm going to pre-order it as soon as it becomes available. Like, I am. But I want to know more about what it's going to actually do because there's so many stuff that's floating around.
They want to prevent buyer's remorse as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So if it were me, and I've never worked in the gaming industry outside of GameStop. Mm-hmm. You may laugh, but it makes the most sense to me, just from a marketing perspective, for them to just give us all the information at once. Just they're going to give us a State of Play where they are just like, and they'll probably announce ahead of time that pre-orders go up that day, and they're going to show all of that live. And then they're going to be like, so now that you've seen all this face melting, awesome stuff, here's the link to pre-order. And then people are just going to not even stop to question. They're going to be like, I have to get this right now. And they're going to pre-order. Because the more they stagger information, the more people have time to contemplate.
Absolutely. And I think they should do it that way. It's just I'm waiting for that because, we're sitting here in August, which, by the way, how the heck did we get to August? It seems like it was just March last week. But, we're getting closer and closer to what we all assume is going to be a November release date for this and the new Xbox. So I'm just flabbergasted that we haven't had any I mean, I don't know how we can get past September without having pre-orders available for either of them. I mean, I guess we could, but that just seems, I don't know.
I bet they're going to go up in October.
Really?
That's just my, so like,
has it always been that quick though? Like, I feel like this has been the longest where we've kind of had this cat and mouse game of like, who's going to announce what first, you know?
I ordered a new phone this week. The Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. This has been the first time I've ever owned a current generation phone. Like I've got the Note 9 right now, and it's been a great phone, but I'm excited to finally be like on the up and up. They announced it, like did full information on it Wednesday. They opened it up for pre-orders the next day, and it comes out the 21st of this month.
I mean, that's how Apple does their stuff
it's
too.
Not,
I mean, it's normally whenever they have their big conference, normally that Friday is when pre-orders go up. And then typically it's like a month to 2 months before the product will actually get to you. So I don't know. Maybe that
I think they may be trying a new strategy in the vein of that, because it's been a long time since they've had to sell hardware. So a lot's changed since 2013, 2014, whenever that was. I think 2013. And so what they may be doing is making more of a shift to where it is a very quick turnaround to where they're talking about the games now, and then they're just going to give this huge information dump close to time. And then we're just going to get it less than a month after they actually announce pre-orders and price.
Yeah.
Because that also prevents buyer's remorse and like pre-order cancels.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm waiting for. So all in all, I thought the state of play was good. I thought it was fine, but we'll see. So Miles just texted us and reminded us about a story that I do want to talk about, but I don't have a story pulled aside for it, so we'll just go off the cuff here. Disney, obviously COVID has just, I don't know what it's really done for the movie industry, but there have been no theaters have been open.
It's changed it.
Yeah, it's just completely, everything's been pushed back. Everything's been changed. It's just been crazy.
We've got a theater open here that's doing like older movies. They're doing Empire Strikes Back right now, and some other ones. They did the Indiana Jones movies a month or so ago. So theaters are open, but the industry has been changed by this.
Absolutely. Well, so anyway, lots of movies. The Trolls. What was their? It was like Rock
Trolls World
Tour. World Tour. That was one of the movies that instead of postponing, they just made it, a video on demand that you could rent online, and had gangbusters success. They had a whole lot of success, to the point that they may just do this with all their movies. They've kind of who was that? Universal, DreamWorks. They just kind of were like, wow, this was so successful, everyone should do this. Like, why are we not doing this? Scoob was another one that instead of postponing, they just took that to video on demand. And I haven't heard how successful that was, but I imagine it did all right. Disney has postponed a lot of its movies. We've pushed back Black Widow, which that changed the whole next phase for the Marvel movies. But another movie that got pushed back was the Mulan movie, the live action Mulan. And this week,
the first live action Disney movie that actually looks like it could be good.
Really? You think that?
It could be. I don't think it will be.
See, as soon as I saw the trailer, I had no hopes for it. But anyway,
the second trailer they did was better.
Okay. They had originally postponed it indefinitely, much like everything else they had done. But this week they announced that it will be coming to Disney Plus. However, it will be an additional $30 to buy it,
premium content,
to get the premium content, to have Mulan to watch on demand. So this has been a huge debacle. Yada yada. You can go in and look at it. What I really want to talk about, Steven, is just what do we think about that? And why don't you go first, because you seem to be a lot more positive on the movie in general. What do you think about that? Is that a reasonable price point?
No, it's not. Disney is trying to play you. Disney is fully
Mm-hmm.
aware that they have such a large group of people that will basically buy whatever
Mm-hmm.
they put out there. They are testing you to see just how much they can drain you for these premium
Mm-hmm.
content things, because they could
Mm-hmm.
do what Trolls World Tour
Mm-hmm.
did and basically release it for $15 to own, $10 to purchase, something
To
like
rent,
that,
yeah.
or to rent. I mean, yeah, they could do that, but why do that when you can, highball it, see how well this movie does, and if it seems to make a return, why not do it again? And that's exactly what they're gonna do. And for whatever reason, they decided that Mulan is the movie that they want to send to its death, because I don't think that they even foresee this going well.
Right.
I think that this is just an experiment for them, and they're just like, you know what, let's see what happens. Because
well, I was just gonna say, you and I are of the same mind. I look at this $30 price on top of my, granted, very generous, like $7 or $8 a month subscription, but still,
yeah, you're basically paying $40 for a movie that everyone thinks looks bad.
See, what I hate most about it is it's the subscription plus 30. I think 20 or 15 would have been a more reasonable place. But just because you and I have the same opinion, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate, because I was talking to my boss about this, and he was just like, oh man, we're so excited to see it. I can't wait. $30. That's a great deal. And I was just like, really? What makes you think that? And he was like, well, I've got a family of 4 going to the movies. It's about $15 a ticket for us per person. So, we're basically going to cut our movie seeing price in half. And I was just like, wow.
Right.
Because it's just me and Lee Allison, and here again, we would almost pay $30 to go to the theater to see it. So really, the $30 isn't that far off. Especially if you throw in like food and some other stuff you throw in there. But
here's the thing, though. Trolls did that with that same mindset of, here's a movie that you're going to take your kids to see. We're turning let's say a family of 4. That's $10 a ticket. Then they're going to want concessions. Let's just say $60, give or take. Turning a $60 situation into a $15, $20 deal. And it's yours. You own it. They did that, and they did it right. If Disney had done this before Trolls did it, then I could understand.
Right.
But they full well know that there's a better way to do this for the consumer, and they are draining the consumer. They know that they can try it and still be okay. And it makes less sense to me to do this with Mulan. It's like do this with Mulan and expect it to succeed, because that was Trolls, a movie that is animated, has the goofy little characters with the goofy hair jumping around singing songs. It lends itself to home media.
Yeah.
Kids will play it over and over again. They'll sing the songs. The parents will hate it. They'll get the little toys. Mulan is not that movie.
Right.
Based on what we've seen, there are not going to be any music numbers outside of maybe orchestrations of different songs. I think the song that she sings to herself when she's got the
Reflection.
makeup on, that has an orchestration in the second trailer. So we're probably going to hear stuff like that again. I don't know if there's going to be actual music numbers. This movie, though, it's PG-13, pretty sure. It's going to be reminiscent of a like Chinese action film. Why would this be the one that they decide to take a stand
and
with?
another thing, that Artemis Fowl movie, that was in movie cycle hell. Like it kept going back and forth, and then suddenly COVID hit, and it's like, well, crap, like we're never gonna get this movie out. And they just put it on Disney Plus. You didn't have to pay a premium additional price to see that.
That's a movie they definitely sent to die because they didn't care enough to market it.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but they didn't care enough to get the right people involved. Like I could talk for a while about Artemis Fowl because I read the books. I loved the Artemis Fowl books when I was a kid. And I haven't even seen the movie. I refuse to watch it because, like, on a very surface level, I don't know spoilers or anything, but I know that they did not stay true to the character like whatsoever. And so what's the point? And he was already kind of a niche character. So for that one, they didn't help themselves by not marketing it. Even when it came out, there were ads that played on Hulu, sure, but no one thought that looked good.
You know,
I love Hulu. Hulu's the best option right now. For like easily. Fight me. But
I'm not going to go into that battle.
But take a shot every time Steven says fight me. Yeah, this just seems like a really weird choice. But the reason that I think that they're going to possibly get away with it is because it's a live action remake. And for whatever reason, these live action remakes, even though I never really hear anyone say that like they loved these things like universally, like I know people who are just like the occasional one. Like I know people who liked Aladdin. I know people who thought Beauty and the Beast was all right. I know people that liked Lion King. But I've never met a single person who is that individual that's just like, oh my gosh, Disney released a live action remake, I have to see it.
Yeah, I think generally they're not liked. And see, Mulan is one of my favorites, and so from the get go, seeing these trailers, I was like, yep, nope, I'm out. They took away Mushu, and like you kind of described it best for me. And I don't know this is necessarily a bad thing, but you mentioned that it looks a lot like a Chinese action film. Like,
I think that's a good thing.
See, I don't know that it's a bad thing, but that is part of the thing that's turning me off to it.
It's respect to the culture. It looks like a film that was made by Chinese filmmakers is what
Did you ever see,
and I appreciate
Did you ever see that movie with Matt Damon where he is on the Great Wall and he's fighting the lizards?
No, I didn't, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
That is the vibe.
That exists.
That is the vibe that I get for this movie. And that's what I mean when I say this. When I say I don't know that it's a good thing or a bad thing, but like that's what I'm looking at, and I'm like, I don't want Mulan to become that.
See, I don't get that vibe from this movie, but I can understand completely.
I totally do.
Why people
especially
vibe.
The shot of like the witch where like her scarf turns into claws and she starts going to town.
The witch,
it's like, nope.
The witch is the part. The witch is the part where I'm just like, okay, you couldn't have Mushu. You can have a little red dragon voiced by Eddie Murphy, but you can have this witch that turns into a bird for some reason. That's the one thing that just had me like, okay, this might end up being pretty bad.
Yeah.
But the second trailer they released was a lot better than the first trailer. And Anna really wants to see it. Well, so we're going to see it.
See, I don't know.
We're not going to pay $30 for it. Well, we're going to wait.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you might be waiting then because I don't know when it's going to happen. But
yeah, I'm not Disney. I'm not falling for this.
Not falling for your tricks.
Mouse, you're not going to put me in a trap.
I don't know. I do think it's situational. I think if you're somebody with a family of 4, this is probably a good deal for you. If you're somebody like me and Steven who've only got, one other person that we'd be paying for, it's maybe not the best deal. But I don't know. When we're at this point, this is the question I want to wrap up with, Steven. If this was the same story, but it was Black Widow, would you pay for it?
Nope.
If it was the same story, but it was Doctor Strange 2, would you pay for it?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about Marvel.
Well, actually, no.
No?
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
I would pirate the film. I would pirate the film. I would I'm saying right here, come at me, Mouse. I would pirate that film because even though I love Marvel, I will not be taken for a fool. I would find a way to see this movie. I would watch someone's reaction Like, I would watch a video of someone reacting to them watching the movie without the movie provided, rather than I would spend $30 plus premium access for this movie in my current stage of life.
I appreciate your honesty, Steven. I really do. Speaking of Marvel, let's talk about Marvel's Avengers and how Spider-Man is coming to the game, but only as a PlayStation exclusive character. This was announced early this week, obviously to capitalize on the pre-order beta that is available for PS4 owners this weekend. Basically, I'm pretty sure PlayStation dropped the news. PlayStation announced that Spider-Man was coming to the PlayStation version of Marvel's Avengers as a post-launch character. Yep. They gave just a little bit of detail about basically how much they love Spider-Man and how, and I'm talking about Crystal Dynamics gave this write-up about how much they love Spider-Man and how much, Spider-Man is such an iconic character and he's teamed up with the Avengers or whatever, and how there will be a post-launch event that will bring Spider-Man into the universe, blah, 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 blah. But he's a PS4 and PS5 exclusive character. So that has kind of been the drama all this week of people asking, why is this a thing? What's the issue with that? Different stuff has come out about that. I'm pulling an article from IGN where Crystal Dynamics studio head Scott Amos kind of broke down a little bit why this is the decision. The gist of it is it's PlayStation's fault. But anyway, let me get to it. So the inclusion, this is his quote from, again, Scott Amos, Crystal Dynamics studio head. The inclusion of Spider-Man is a unique opportunity for us because of the relationship between PlayStation and Marvel. Peter Parker's alter ego starred in Marvel Spider-Man, which was exclusive to the PS4, and developer Insomniac Games is currently working on the follow-up, blah, blah, blah. The studio was acquired by Sony Interactive Entertainment as a first-party developer. I'm sorry, I think I lost his quote now. He must have jumped in and out of this. Basically, Sony Sony owns the movie rights. Let me get to it here. Sony Pictures Entertainment currently owns the rights to the character in movie form, though as far as is currently known, the rest of the character's rights, including comics and games, is with Marvel. This close relationship, though, meant that it was an obvious decision to include the web slinger in the PS4 and PS5 iterations of the forthcoming game. However, Amos clarified that is the only character that we are doing that way. So there will be no other platform exclusive character. Let's see. They don't have any announcements for crossplay at the moment. They're focusing on this game being cross generation right now.
I really hope they make it crossplay so I can brag about Spider-Man to some Xbox people. Just show up and just web sling through their game and then leave.
Exactly. So anyway, I'll stop reading the article there because it really no definitive answer is really given of why this is exclusive. The best that I can garner from this is that because Sony owns the movie rights and because Spider-Man, the PS4 Spider-Man is a PlayStation exclusive title, there's some sort of deal that PlayStation struck or probably paid for Spider-Man to continue being exclusive on their system. But as far as, Steven, when this announcement first came out, you and I think we're pretty much just like, oh yeah, that's probably some sort of logistical thing of like Spider-Man is owned by Sony, so he can only be an exclusive character. But, I've heard a lot of other people talk about, I don't think it's Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, but like the Lego Marvel games that are on Xbox and PlayStation. Like, Spider-Man's not exclusive to the PlayStation version on those. So here's my take. Here's what my original reaction was. I don't know if I still believe this now or not, but just to add some possible perspective, everyone keeps saying, no, Sony just owns the film rights. That's wrong. Think of all these video games he's been in. But a little thing happened in 2019, last year, when Far From Home came out. It was like right after that, the film rights were up for grabs again. Like Sony tried to walk, and Marvel and Sony had to come to an agreement. And
Spider-Man PS4 came out in 2018, right? I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it had to have. I think that part of the deal that Sony managed to walk away with out of renegotiating film rights, or at least I thought, I don't know what I think anymore, but it's just an interesting thing to consider. What if in that agreement they struck a deal that said that Spider-Man was now, they had the video game rights now. So Spider-Man's video game appearances go through Sony. Because no game, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, politely, please. No game has come out since they renegotiated that featured Spider-Man. That was not on a Sony console, because we had Ultimate Alliance.
I was just about to say, when did Ultimate Alliance come out? But that's Switch exclusive, right?
July of last year. That was Switch exclusive, and it was July of last year. Other than that, Marvel versus Capcom, but that's been a couple years. I think that was 2018.
Well, and that was probably in development.
This is the first time
that deal was struck.
Exactly. So this deal would have been from September, I guess, of 2019 forward. No game was to be developed with Spider-Man that did not have Sony's go ahead.
So do you think this is
to me,
do you think this is written somewhere, or do you think this was just kind of an unspoken agreement amongst the two?
I'm sure it's probably written somewhere that we do not have access to, because I don't know if we have actual documentation of the exact deal.
I feel like, though, if there was a real, like a on paper deal, it should be on paper somewhere, and maybe it's something hidden in a fiscal term that hasn't come out yet or something. But I feel like something like that
could be in a very long document, and if it is written in somewhere, and like if their legal document of their deal is somewhere, it's probably 1,000,000 pages, and in the coming days, weeks, whatever, someone who is curious enough
will find it.
might find it, and they will show us the fine print that says so. Yeah. Because to me, it makes sense, because Sony wanted to sweeten the deal. They just saw how lucrative PS4 Spider-Man was, because that game did phenomenal. Sony, what better way?
Sony definitely knows the value of Spider-Man, and I think they've known that for a while. Especially seeing the Marvel movies kind of bring it back, bring it up a little bit, and then the most recent Spider-Man on PS4 did amazing. The hype around Miles Morales is going to do great too. So I think they definitely understand the value of it. But see, I think there's some value and some credit to what you're saying about there being some sort of deal that was struck during that. But I think even on a more simple scale, I think as this game was being developed, I think because Sony is so close to Marvel and because they've had so many deals on the movie side, I think it was probably very easy for someone to say, hey, how much would we have to pay? Like, I honestly think probably, because I correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but I think we have all been, the real surprise of this was that Spider-Man is coming, period. Because for the longest time, was just like, there's no way Spider-Man will come to this. Spider-Man is a Sony thing.
Yeah, we've thought that it was going to be a ton of lesser known characters and the big characters, like the characters that when you think of them, you don't think beyond Avengers.
So I was just shocked that it's coming. So I'm sure what happened is Sony went to Marvel and was like, hey, you guys are working with Square Enix on this game. Would y'all like to have Spider-Man in it? And they were like, yeah, we'd love to have Spider-Man. Is that okay? Can we do that? And they were like, sure, but how much do we have to pay you for it to be exclusive? And I'm sure a number was set. I'm sure Sony paid for it.
I think if it wasn't a legal issue, it was a mutual showing of faith to where Sony totally threw some money at them and was like, we believe in what you're working on. Give us Spider-Man. You have the go ahead to do that, but this money is exclusivity money. And it's a mutual showing of faith, because for Crystal and Square to say like, sure, we'll piss off more than half of, well, that's not really accurate to say, because I feel like a crap load of people are on PS4 more than they are on Xbox. But
well, the main
they're pissing off PC and Xbox at the same time, and people are pissed.
Oh yeah.
So that is a big showing of faith of them to know to basically say, like, we believe that the Spider-Man character is a big enough draw that it's going to bring these PlayStation players out of the woodwork to get this game to play as Spider-Man.
And there's
so it is a total mutual showing.
Exactly. And there's all sorts of other stuff that's going to be timed exclusives. Like I think there's certain missions that are coming early to PlayStation. Like there's lots of exclusive stuff happening.
Every new hero they release is going to come with a PS Plus pack that gives you a ton of stuff, including like a heroic outfit or something like that.
So
that's a lot of
there
stuff.
are a ton of incentives to be on PlayStation. I mean, at this point, I don't know why. Number one, I don't know why anyone would be playing anything other than a PlayStation, a Switch, or a PC. But at this point, it seems like to me that you'd have to play this game on PlayStation. I mean, unless you just hate Spider-Man, I don't see why you wouldn't, or unless you just didn't have a PlayStation.
Yeah. And if anyone is watching this who is on Xbox and you're just thinking like, well, that doesn't change the fact that exclusive characters suck, and I've never been okay with that, any of that kind of stuff. First of all, I'm not saying that it doesn't suck. That is rough.
I was going to say, I agree with that. I hate for them that this is an exclusive thing.
I hate that too, but let me remind you of a little game called Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the first one. When it came out, Xbox 360 got exclusive characters. I remembered that as we were talking, and I looked it up just to see what the list was. Let me read you the list of exclusive characters that Xbox 360 got. Cyclops, Hawkeye, Nightcrawler, Doctor Doom, Magneto, Sabretooth, Venom, and Hulk.
Dang.
Yeah.
So it could be worse.
This has been around for a long time. It could be much worse. You guys overall, and I was an Xbox 360 player during the PlayStation generation, so I guess I just got the best of both worlds. But like, this has been a thing for a long time. Exclusive characters have happened. It was a lot worse than it is now.
Well, and,
like,
and it is
just to say.
I was just going to say, it's good to hear from them that this is the only character they're planning to do this way.
Right.
Because I was kind of waiting for the other ball to drop of like, oh, hey, guess what? Wolverine is going to be exclusive to Xbox because X-Men, Xbox. Like, I don't know, some stupid thing like that. Not that I'm just like gangbusters to play Wolverine, but any exclusive character, I would be kind of upset that I don't have all the characters available. That would be my biggest problem. But anyway, Steven, we've been going a long time and we haven't even started talking about the Marvel's Avengers beta that we got to play this weekend. Let's dive into that.
We're almost at an hour and a half.
I know.
Man.
We've been going. I told you it was a lot to talk about. Let's talk about our time with the beta. We've gotten to play, all weekend basically. We did 3 live streams about it. We did Steven's experience with the story, my experience with the story, and then we played about 3 hours of co-op stuff on stream. I'll just start and we'll just kind of talk about top level and work our way in. Overall, I was very impressed. I thought it was a great beta, a great showing of what the game is. The very first mission, you get to play as all the core Avengers. Everyone felt great. Everyone felt fun to play. Everyone felt different and unique. My favorites were Thor and Captain America, which if you watch any of our streams, the whole time I'm just like, can I please go back? The 2 characters you couldn't play anymore after you got through that. But getting to play more, it's really, really fun. All the characters, we kind of going into it, Steven was like, oh man, I call Iron Man. I want to be Iron Man. And I was like, well, I guess I'll be Hulk. Like Hulk sounds great. Like every character was fun to play. And I would, now that I've played it, I would gladly be like, oh, you want to play Hulk for a bit? Oh, sure. I'll switch over to whoever. I'll be Kamala, whatever. Kamala was a standout, surprise hit hero. Yeah. She was so much fun to play. But like, I would gladly switch if somebody was like, oh, I've got a really good Hulk. Like, okay, I'll jump to whoever, because all of them were so fun to play.
I didn't hate any of the characters. I loved how unique they all felt. Hulk was my least favorite, but just from a playstyle standpoint.
I've heard a lot of people
but
not liking Hulk.
I still
and a lot of people said
I've heard the opposite.
Really?
Most people that I've seen that have named a favorite have said Hulk, and that surprised me.
Really? Okay. Well, I guess maybe it's probably a good level then, because I watched some other people, and they were all commenting on how Hulk was their least favorite, but a lot of them said what I said, which was everybody feels slow, and Hulk feels really slow. And a lot of people said they liked Black Widow because she was so quick. So I think that's going to be something they might want to balance or work on.
If they somehow figure out how to speed up Hulk a bit, that would really help. But that's the main complaint I did see from people, because most of what I saw was like, I would read comments of things they posted on Facebook and a little bit on Twitter that was like, who have you been playing the most? And the most people that named a specific character did say Hulk. But the people that did mention Hulk being a disappointment, that just said like he needs to be a bit faster. But for me, Iron Man was my favorite. He played kind of how I expected him to. Very Anthem feeling. But it was like, I think the way I said it was, he plays like Anthem if it was an anime. Like I'm playing a Ranger from Anthem if I was an anime character, just because of how flashy it was. But I liked that. Playing all the characters, it felt really good, and it's really smart design. And I said this a lot when playing Hulk, as I was noticing little details, but you can see trends between characters that kind of make it to where you can say, Kamala, to get around, she can leap and bound like Hulk can, but she can also grapple like Black Widow can. Like, there are these connecting ties that are just like, oh, okay, so they have that in common, but at the same time, they have all these things that work so uniquely. Like Hulk's ranged attack is the example I've used. It's not the best example, but it's an example nonetheless. I could talk about all of these details for every character probably, but I'm just going to mention this real quick. Hulk's ranged attack is that I would have thought it would be Thunderclap, but they made that his ultimate, and I'm really glad they did, because that makes Thunderclap feel way more powerful. And it really is. But Hulk's ranged attack is that he reaches into the ground, picks up a piece of debris from whatever you're standing on, and then he can throw it with R2. It would have been really easy for them to make it to where when you hit R2, he's just got the rock in his hand and he just throws it. Kind of make it to where it's quicker and just something he does if he needs to, rather than something that he does like Hulk would do it, if that makes sense. Like, just doing it out of obligation rather than the way they did it, which did it out of his personality. And the reason I comment on this is because they put a lot of detail in just the simple, like a lot of thoughtfulness and detail into Hulk's ranged attack, because he reaches down, picks the thing up, and then you can press R2 to throw it. But like many Hulks will probably face when using their ranged attack, let's say you're picking up a rock to throw at a guy you see aiming a gun at you. You can hit L2, you pick up the rock, and then you're aiming to throw it. But if you see him about to shoot, you can let go of L2, so you'll stop aiming, but you don't drop the rock. He keeps it in his hand. So that way, when you hit L2 the next time, let's say you dodge the shot and then you hit L2 to aim again, you don't have to pick the rock back up. It's in your hand. So you can throw it immediately. That is smart. Right. Like, it's such a small thing, but that's smart because they understand that, like, these are the kinds of situations when Hulk would need his ranged attack. And here's something we can do that doesn't undercut his personality in what he does with a ranged attack, but also doesn't make it feel underpowered or overpowered, if that makes sense. Like, it feels very balanced. It feels very smart. Why is my watch screaming? What the heck? my watch had a green light that was strobing.
I'll cut you off there, because you've kind of made your point. If it feels good, I'll interject for the story. The story was really, really good. I'm really curious where they're going to go with it. We have a great story mission with Kamala and Bruce, where it feels very much Last of Us. We joked and called it Last of Us Part 3 because it is literally Troy Baker. But
with some poor child,
some superpowered girl. It's just a short segment, but it's really, really good. And then as that continues, you hear less of Troy Baker saying actual words. He's mostly just screaming, but you're still getting a lot of details from Kamala and playing through that story. So I'm really curious where it's all going to go and how it's all going to connect. And I really enjoyed that segment and continuing segments of that story. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
But even Troy Baker as Bruce, just to say real quick, even though they made him portray the character that doesn't get as much screen time as his counterpart, the time that he does get to like talk and act,
it's really good.
He's a fantastic Bruce Banner. He's so good.
Mm-hmm. He's great. I'll let you talk about gear, Steven, because I very much, and I've always been this way with these types of games, I just equip whatever the strongest thing is and keep moving. I don't really look at the finer details until I get to the point where that number is not going up. And then it's like, okay, now I've got to be more fine detailed. But what I can say is, and Steven, you can expound upon this, but they in the beta, and I'm sure they'll do this in the main game, you can hold L2 and it will just equip what the game thinks is the best gear for you. And that worked fine for me, and it got me through, and it wasn't an annoyance, if that makes sense. The gear management wasn't annoying. But as I think you can speak to, Steven, there's a lot you can do with the gear if you pay attention to it. So what were your takes on that and your thoughts on all that stuff?
I think it's the perfect balance, because a lot of people, the places like GameSpot and IGN, Game Informer, their bigger concerns were that they weren't so sure that this game, and they just straight up didn't think that this game could hold your attention like a Destiny or a Division, because of the loot system and because the missions can feel kind of repetitive and stuff. But I would argue that this game isn't trying to do that. It feels like a sometimes game. Because if it was a game that was always trying to have your attention, I feel like the content stream would be a lot more quick, but I think we're going to get an every few month kind of thing from them. And so with the loot, they made it simple enough and unimposing enough to where if you do want to do that thing where you just
hold L2 gear, and equips everything.
You can, but at the same time, it rewards the people who pay attention. Because there's different damage types you can get from different gear pieces. Your stats that you get from gear are separated into 4 ratings: melee, ranged, heroic, and defensive. And those individual ratings affect individual stats. And each stat affects 2 things. It's very Destiny, but actually deeper than Destiny. Where my precision, which I get from ranged rating, is I think my damage with ranged attacks and critical chance or something like that, I think.
Well,
and then
I was just gonna say, really, to me, the thing that jumps out of like what can gear do for you is, we have the different abilities. Are they heroics? Is that what you call the abilities?
Heroics. R1, L1, R1, L1 are heroics.
So L1 and R1 and then L1, R1. Those heroics.
I need to find a better way to say that.
There's got to be a better way.
Those L plus R, I'll say that.
There you go. Those abilities, depending on what gear, if you have a higher score in a certain category, that might make your R1 heroic come back faster. So that was, as you were kind of on stream, Steven kind of went through what everything does and what you should be looking for. Like anytime it was like this heroic cooldown is faster, I was like, gotta raise that. How do I get that up? Because I want to have those as quick as possible. So
and for the people who just kind of go through loot and equip their best stuff, it seems like characters do get better ratings for certain stats. If you're just equipping based on gear score, if that makes sense. Because like Iron Man, I noticed it was really easy to keep his ranged rating up, because his gear likely caters more towards the ranged rating, because Iron Man is very much a ranged character. So there are 2 sides to that though. First side being the intended play of Iron Man. You can definitely tell how Iron Man is intended to play, but you're not locked in that. And the way he's intended to play is a lot of ranged attacks, His assault heroic recharges quicker the higher his ranged rating, and that's unibeam.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously with Iron Man, you want to unibeam as much as possible. And they'll let you do that. But at the same time, if you stop and kind of work around that and intentionally equip the stuff that focuses more on melee rating or defense rating, rather than or even heroic rating, rather than your ranged rating, you can make a melee Iron
Mm-hmm.
Man, and it totally would work.
Right.
It would just take a little bit more deliberation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in there as a thing you can do. And there's further nuance to it, and what comes with the gear, the perks. Through gear, you can actually make a support character out of basically anybody. Because of, like, there's stuff that says on a combo finisher or whatever, you have a 30% chance to do a willpower buff for the team. Willpower is health, I think. And so you could equip your character with all gear that has perk chance stuff, and then you could increase your perk chance. I don't remember what stat that fell in, but there is an attribute within one of the stats that increases the chance for perks on gear. So you could totally build your character that way. Kumala would be great for that because she has a healing ability that heals the team. So there's a lot of flexibility for how you do that. But in addition, there's different damage types. So for example, if I have a gauntlet on Iron Man that says it does particle damage, particle being pin particles, so it shrinks enemies, makes them more vulnerable. It would say your whatever attacks now do particle damage. So I could, in theory, if I equipped the right piece, turn Iron Man's laser, which is a completely different weapon set from his repulsors and missiles, I could turn his laser into a shrink ray. There's a lot of possibilities there. It works better than I thought it would. But it doesn't try to be Destiny or Division or Anthem. It
definitely didn't seem like, and we never got any like exotic gear, but it seems like even the exotic gear is just going to have a lot more perks and different traits like that attached to it, with higher percentage numbers than the other stuff. So there's not something that's going to, make Iron Man's repulsors shoot spider-legged grenades that track enemies or anything like that.
Or something I thought it was like, make it to where when he locks with a missile, it locks 2 missiles per lock instead of 1. Like nothing crazy like
Another
that.
good one we talked about was gives you 2 heroic charges on your R1 or something like that. It doesn't seem like anything's going to do that. It's just going to increase
no
cooldowns.
Destiny style exotics that define your character. But the more I thought about it, that is a bummer to me that there aren't those fun things to say like, well, I've got this, so I can do this. While that is kind of a bummer, it makes more sense that way. Because you're like,
and who knows?
I like the idea.
We didn't get anything like that, but there could be something like that in there that we just aren't aware of yet.
But I almost would be okay with them just not doing those, so that it could be more about building those intentional little pieces with the perks. Because I think the highest end gear can come with 3 or 4 perks on it,
and then you can upgrade to have I think to increase those or something.
Yeah, you can increase. You can unlock more perks, but I think it maxes out at 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of stuff that changes the way a hero plays, and we don't even know what 2 of the skill trees are going to do. Yeah, we know one of the skill trees is going to focus on heroics. Yeah. But there's another skill tree that we don't even know. It's called mastery. We don't know anything.
Oh, really?
It.
See, I thought that was about the ultimate.
No, the ultimate's included in the specialty tree.
I can't wait to find out.
Because the ultimate is a heroic. So it counts.
So I think this is a good segue, and I wish we had more time to talk about this, but we kind of overall, I think we really enjoyed it. I think we're really excited about it.
It has issues.
It does have issues. So that's what I want to transition to. What from the beta? Because there were some things that like our characters are supposed to level when you're not playing them, but they're in a mission with you. They weren't doing that in the beta. That's a problem. But that's not an intended problem. That's an issue they're probably going to have to fix. There was a lot of matchmaking issues, blah, 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 blah. What I want to ask, Steven, is what did you not see that you're hoping is going to be that you're hoping is going to be in the final game, or you hope they add from this beta?
I definitely, one of the big things for me is I need my AI companions, like you said. I need them to level up. I need to. I think there needs to be a way to get gear for them as well,
as you're playing with them
while playing other characters. Yeah, I don't want to feel like I don't want to have to play Hulk, but I want to be able to have a really good Hulk on my team. I want those AI companions to be vital.
Yeah. And that was what I was going to say is my wish at this point would be I want them to give us some way to program the AI or like lean them towards a specific thing.
That was my next
thing. I would love it if I could tell my Hulk to stay right next to me and just make sure nothing touches me and just let him be a defensive of my whoever I'm mainly playing. And like my Iron Man, I'd want him to stay in the sky. And if there's anything else in the sky, that's what he focuses on. Because like when I'm Kamala or any other character, I normally am focused on the ground, and then there might be something that's out of my range that I need Iron Man to just take care of. So it would be really cool if we could program those AI to focus on specific jobs.
And it wouldn't even need to be that invasive. Just set like aggressive, distance from target stuff. Like just a few things that are like 3 choices each to kind of help their AI. That would be really nice. I hope that there were a few times that there were some pretty nasty issues. I had some audio glitches. There were a lot of frame drops.
Had the hilarious glitch where I was playing Kamala and my hand got stuck in a wall, but I kept going and it was still stretching and it just kept going. We had a pretty bad issue where we went into an area that we were supposed to be protecting these shield agents, but there were no enemies there. Or if there were, they were invisible and we couldn't touch them. They couldn't touch us. So we had to restart the game 2 or 3 times. And then eventually we just quit the mission and had to back out and go. So I'm assuming a lot of those are just beta issues, which overall, I think we were saying like, compared to the Anthem beta, this was awesome. This was like really, really polished.
It was still pretty solid for a beta of its kind. The co-op stuff, like we didn't really have much issue at all connecting to each other. But I hear matchmaking was rough. But we didn't have any issue and we had the occasional problems, but more often than not, we were able to expect that the missions ran according to plan. Single player was fine. I had no issues in single player.
See, and I had a good time. So there's one story mission, quote unquote, that you could invite people to play with you. It's kind of an introduction to what the war zones are. I had fun with that. Just with it was me and Hulk at that point. But I mean, I had a great time just in something like that where it's just you're on your own with your AI companions. I thought that was really, really great. But anyway, we've talked a lot about Marvels. We can keep talking about it. But all in all, I think we both can't wait to see more. We may be playing some this upcoming weekend. We'll have to talk about that and see as the beta opens up even more. But anyway, I would be remiss if we ended this podcast without talking about Fall Guys. I didn't even mention it at the top of the show, but we got to play Fall Guys this weekend as well. I've gotten 2 wins now, which is nothing, but I've gotten 2 wins. Steven, have you played any more since our live stream on Friday? Or I guess that was Tuesday.
Nope. Yeah, I don't really care to.
I
had fun, but
I think it's one of those games that it's probably fun with people for a couple hours, but it's not something that like Fortnite where you could just go for hours and hours and hours and hours, and every stream you do be that. The more I played it, Steven, the more I kind of got your frustrations of I'm losing for no reason other than the game just screwed me. It's very much a game of chance. It's a game that kind of combines Gang Beasts and Wipeout with a battle royale style. You play
with the sense of unforgiving humor, or like the sense of unforgiving, just like whatever you want to call it, spite. That's the word I'm looking for, of Mario Party.
There you go. That is a good summary. It's a lot of fun. It's free to play. Well, it's free for PS Plus members during the month of August. You got to have PS Plus to play it anyway. So if you've got it, it's worth getting. It's been kind of a darling right now. It's been like top of Steam, top 5 of Steam, top 5 of Twitch. So it's doing really, really well. It's a lot of fun, but definitely remember to hold R2 if you're jumping for a crown, and go have fun with it. I don't know how long it'll stick around. I hope as they add maybe more mini games and some other stuff, I hope it'll stick around. But I really enjoyed it, but it's definitely something to take in small doses. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a couple things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com. You can like this video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, you're at Chortle Games on Facebook. You can also watch us live stream on Twitter at Chortle Games on Twitter. And then we also do live streams on Twitch, twitch.tv/Chortle_games. You can also join our Discord, which you can get to you can also join our Discord, which you can get to in the description of this video. And yeah, that's what we do. This has been Chortle Cast. We've been a pleasure talking with you guys. The podcast airs every Monday at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. Normally we do not go this long, but this has been, the last 2 episodes have been especially long. I'm not sure what's up with that, but we every Monday, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. But we also do live streams throughout the week. Normally we live stream on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I will be live streaming Fall Guys Thursday. Steven may join me. He may not. And then we'll have 2 other streams that are going to be Steven led on Friday and Saturday. So be sure to tune in for those and hang out with us throughout the week.
Yep.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, Steven, thank you for all your insightful discussion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. See you next time.